Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about what I hate about the zodiac sign Pisces, and yes, it does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Well, anyway, people, the first thing is, as far as what I hate about Pisces, well, they're just, they could be very ambivalent and indecisive and very confused. I think a lot of the confusion is attributed to the fact that, or at least what I believe anyway, and many other people in the astrology world will agree with this, that they are the combination or amalgamation of the other 11 zodiac signs. So they got so many different characteristics going on in them, and they really, I think that's what causes a lot of the confusion. They could feel assertive one minute in trying to do something, then they could show more restraint the next, and they just kind of going in different directions. And a lot of times the confusion leads to no action, and really, and then it's really nothing venture, nothing gained, so to speak, nothing accomplished. So anyway, another thing that I hate about Pisces is the fact that they can simply act differently around different people. Pisces can have a very chameleon-like quality. I had a friend one time that had a Pisces ascendant, and a lot of times, like, he'd be around me and he'd be real jocular and jovial and real friendly and outgoing. And then sometimes when he'd be around some of his, cooler friends, if you understand my drift and what I'm saying, people, he would change his demeanor. He'd be less extroverted and less talkative with me, almost as if he was embarrassed to acknowledge. He was embarrassed that maybe he knew me around those friends, and he thought by maybe acknowledging my presence or whatever, the fact that he was connected to me, that he was my friend, that it would be demoralizing to him. So anyway, well, another thing I hate about the zodiac sign Pisces is that they are just so very emotional. Their emotions can be practically all-encompassing. And when you have a very strong emotional nature, sometimes it can get in the way of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. If you're too fragile that way, and you let things get to you, then it's really harder to focus on tasks at hand, and it can cause problems, of course, in relationships and other aspects of your life. If somebody though has their Mercury in a non-water sign, then that does help in a way. So, because at least the emotions wouldn't be clouding the rational or logical thinking that much, but still having a very strongly sensitive and emotional nature is not always really a positive thing for people. So anyway, another thing about Pisces, what I hate about them, is that they could be very gullible and very easily deceived. They could also be the deceivers, which is ironic. They could be the ones that are deceptive, but they are easily led at the same time. I think a lot of the deception that Pisces succumbs to, so to speak, or the fact they could be easily led and deceived, a lot of that I think is attributed to the fact that they are very idealistic. They try to see the best in others. They don't like to see any potential transgressions or flaws or defaults in other people. So when someone says they're going to do this, or they're going to be there at a certain place, certain time, they generally will believe it more so than the other zodiac signs on average, because of this. They think there's a good financial deal for them. They will often believe it and not really investigate it thoroughly. And if someone tells them this is a good stock to invest into, for example, they may just hurry up and decide to invest in it rather than investigate and see if it really actually is a credible one, or one that has a past history of really generating good profits for others, if it's a good stock or not. So anyway, another thing I hate about Pisces is the fact they can often drift into their fantasy world. Often this leads to strong isolation tendencies. Pisces often has this propensity to escape reality, and they really often have difficulty in confrontation as well. And doing so, going into your fantasy world is okay from time to time, but at the same time you do have to cope with reality as well. And Pisces often has difficulty in doing this. Well, another thing I hate about Pisces is the fact they could be very passive and weak-willed. Uh, Pisces often has difficulty in standing up for themselves and for other people. They are a very non-confrontational, non-combative people. And Pisces, I mean, don't get me wrong, they could still stand up for themselves and others, but a lot of times it's done kind of in a subtle way. It's not done in a real strong manner, say, as a Leo or an Aries, for example. Aries, of course, is very outspoken. And I mean, they're not going to mince words when standing up for themselves. They're not afraid to mix it up with others either, generally speaking. So, as the nature is very combative, Leo, they have so much pride in them that they look at things, well, how dare you say that to me? And they're not ones that are going to hesitate to fire back at somebody if somebody throws an insult their way. So, anyway. Another thing I hate about Pisces too is the fact they could be very lazy and lackadaisical and lethargic. This could lead to obesity, and it's also lack of accomplishment when you don't really have that ambition to go do things, or I mean, and take action. This could be detrimental to physical health as well. I mean, sometimes it could be detrimental monetarily if you're not going out and trying to accomplish anything or work or whatever. Then this is something where it could be detrimental to your pocketbook. And I'm not saying I mean, I'm sure most Pisces actually have a job and they actually work, but the ambition quality is not there. And they're often ones that will try to work a little bit less, I think, than the average person. And keep in mind, too, that Pisces, they're out of all the zodiac signs, I'd say, along with Cancers, that their vitality and energy level is probably the lowest. I would say theirs in the zodiac sign Cancer don't exactly have an abundance of energy, and the constitution is generally weak for both of these signs. So that has a little bit to do with it as well, and I understand that. Now, anyway, another thing I hate about the zodiac sign Pisces is at least in contrast, comparatively speaking, to the other 11 zodiac signs, this sign has the greatest propensity, I believe, toward drugs and alcohol. I'll be seeing a lot of Pisces celebrities, sun, moon, or ascendant, and in the media they'll say, oh, this person was coming out of rehab, and I've had friends that had Pisces prominent in their chart, sun, moon, or ascendant, and a lot of them have had some kind of drug and or alcohol issues. I mean, this is largely attributed, sure, I mean, to the fact it is mainly because, if anything, it is because they're ruled by Neptune, and Neptune, of course, is associated with drugs. So that really actually is the reason for that. And I really believe, I think also you have to remember that Jupiter is a co-ruler of Pisces, so I think maybe in at least the way I see it, this could maybe kind of enlarge that issue as well. I mean, Jupiter, I mean, it's kind of a paradoxical planet. It's mainly benign and benevolent, but Jupiter also has the tendency to enlarge things. So I think a lot of times it can give that expanded interest in drugs and alcohol for many Pisceans. So anyway, well, another thing I hate about the zodiac sign Pisces is the fact they could be escapists, and they have, and really, and this kind of is tied in often to the drugs, often in the alcohol, or just constantly wanting to be in a desolate area or be in isolation. They could be escapists from life in general and not do the things that a lot of other people feel that needs to be done as far as life goes. So anyway, well, another thing too about what I hate about the zodiac sign Pisces, being a water sign, they are very impressionable, and probably they could very well be the most of the 3 zodiac signs. They often, not only are they impressionable, I mean, they could really mimic others' behavior. So, I mean, if Pisces is in a good crowd and their contemporaries are people that are fairly at least scrupulous, ethical. They're not doing drugs, they're not drinking, they're not living an unscrupulous life. They're living a good, ethical existence basically, and they're, not doing any corrupt acts or what have you. Then Pisces will often mimic that behavior. But Pisces, of all the signs of the zodiac, I think might be more sensitive and susceptible to the company they keep. Now, there's Cancer can be as well, but Cancer is more about the general mood and temperament of others. But I think Pisces is more sensitive to the actual behavior and the actions of others in what they're doing. If they're around friends and they're doing and they're involved in some drugs and or alcohol, then Pisces has a better chance of copying that behavior, more so I believe than the other 11 zodiac signs. And another thing too that I hate about Pisces is the fact they could just simply have a lack of direction. It's interesting. I mean, Pisces can kind of be one of those meanders of the zodiac. I mean, you have that rulership with Neptune and Jupiter, and I think that kind of gives that confused meander or wander. Jupiter is about, it could be about traveling, long distance traveling more, and really long journeys. In Pisces, I mean, the Neptune quality gives that confusion to it. So you kind of can put two and two together, and this could be a person that might be that traveler, but not really sure where he or she really ultimately wants to land in terms of their final destination. Pisces can be kind of the drifter of the zodiac, I believe. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for what I hate about the zodiac sign Pisces. And stay tuned next time, where I'm going to be starting a new series about zodiac signs and crimes. I'm going to be talking about Aries and crime, and then Taurus and crime, etc. I'll go through all 12 zodiac signs. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.